Hi there, Lincoln owners. Today in your 2016 Lincoln MKZ, we're going to be installing Roadmaster's 4-diode universal wiring kit for towed vehicles. Diode wiring is one of the 5 main components you're going to need to flat tow your vehicle. In addition to your diode wiring, you're also going to need your base plate, which gives you your connection point for your tow bar in your vehicle. You'll need your tow bar, which is the connection between your motorhome and your vehicle. You'll need your braking system, which is going to help your vehicle stop whenever you hit the brakes in your motorhome. And you'll also need your safety cables to connect those two together as well, in addition to your tow bar. The diode wiring system will allow the lighting signals from your motorhome to be transferred back to your vehicle. This way, all your signals on your motorhome will be mimicked back here, so people behind you will know your intentions when you're driving down the road. The only component that you'll see installed in your MKZ is the 6-pole connector located at the front. This is where you'll make your connection between your vehicle and your motorhome. Depending on which diode wiring kit you purchase, there are several different cable combinations that you can get with it. You can get a 7 to 6 wire cable like we have here. That is a coiled cable. There's also straight versions. The straight versions are nice if you have tow bars that have channels that run down them, so you can route your wiring through those channels to keep them up off the road. And in the event that you didn't install a braking system on your vehicle, or you have a portable system, you may only need just the wiring portion for your lights, and then you may just use a 4-pole flat connector. We have all 3 combinations with diodes here available at etrailer.com. So with these installed, your vehicle's always going to be ready. The diodes are hidden back behind your taillight assembly here. So whenever you hook up your vehicle to flat tow it, you just got to plug in your wiring connector and you're ready to go. This way you can feel safe driving down the road, knowing that all of your intentions are being displayed to the people behind you. We'll begin our installation here at the rear of our MKZ. You'll need to remove the threshold cover here at the back. It simply pulls up. If you do have a net that's in place for your cargo, there are little cap screws where the hook loops go for your net. You'll want to unscrew those before you pull it up. And with our cover removed, we can go ahead and set it aside. You can then easily pull your carpet aside and access your wiring behind the carpet. We'll take our connector here and we're going to need to splice into the wiring for our turn and tail lamp signals. Those are going to be pins 1 and 3 on both your passenger and driver side connector. They're both going to look just like this. The wiring is going to be different colors. On our driver side, pin 1 is going to be a white and green wire, and pin 3 is going to be a green and orange wire. You'll want to cut those wires in half and then pull the blue Spade terminals off of your diodes, and you're going to crimp a blue Spade terminal onto each end of the wires that you just cut in half. On the lower left corner behind your carpet here, you're going to see a couple of grommets. We use the small grommet here and we pass the wiring that comes in our kit through it. So that's the wire that has the white, brown, yellow, and green cables. I used a pair of Snips to just cut a small slit into it, poke my wire through, and then just pulled it up. Once we got our wiring pulled up through the grommet, we took the yellow and the brown wire and we separated those. To separate your wiring, you simply just take a pair of cutters and you just want to cut between each wire at the very end, and then you can just start peeling them back. They just peel at that point. You can see here with the green wire that it just simply pulls, and you can get more length if you need it. So we've separated out our yellow and our brown. We put a blue Spade terminal on the yellow, and on our brown, what we did is we took the wire, we stretched it from this side all the way across over to the passenger side. Then we cut the brown wire so that we had a length of brown wire that goes from one side of the vehicle to the other. And we crimped both of those into a single terminal. And you're going to have one yellow terminal that comes with your diodes. That's the one you're going to want to use because it's larger. We can now connect our diodes. You'll want to take the single terminal end of your diode, and that's going to go to the connector end of the wires that we cut. So we're going to place that on there. The other ends here, you're going to take your original wiring, you're going to plug it in. So we've got the other end of our green and orange wire, we're plugging that into one side. And on the other side, you're going to want to plug in the appropriate wire that you fed up. Our green and orange wire here is going to be the taillight circuit on our driver's side, which is going to be the brown wire that we fed up. So we simply just plug that in. We're now basically going to repeat that exact same process for our other wiring. The single terminal end is always going to face towards your connector. And the other end is going to plug back in to where you had cut it off. And since this is our driver's side turn signal, this is going to use the yellow wire. So we'll plug that in. We repeated the same process here on the passenger side. Again, we're using pins 1 and 3. They are labeled with numbers on the back side of the connector. Color coding is going to be brown and yellow, and the other one is going to be green and orange. For the passenger side, you want to use the green wire for your passenger turn signal, and that's going to go to your green and orange diode. And the brown wire that we had double connected to that yellow spade on the other side is going to come across to this side, and it's going to connect to the wire that's for your taillight on this side, which is the brown and yellow. You can then peel back the adhesive backing on your diodes and just stick those to the plating here just to keep it out of the way and prevent any rattles from making any noise. We're now underneath the vehicle at the back on the driver's side where we poked our wiring through the grommet. We then took our wiring, we routed it up to our engine compartment. To get it there, you want to avoid anything that is moving, such as your steering or suspension, and anything excessively hot, such as your exhaust here. We went ahead and took it forward, tucking it between our fender liner and our undershield here, and then going up over our rear suspension. After going over the rear suspension, we came down just behind the fuel tank. We stayed underneath the fuel tank at the strap, and then went above our undershield here, all the way forward. It may be necessary to pull a couple of these nuts off. I only had to remove the very front one here just to get my arm in there to grab it. You can take this off by hand. If it's rusted on there pretty good, you might need to use a pair of pliers. From there, we routed it up to the engine compartment. To help get it there, we used a fish wire. A fish wire is really anything that is stiffer than the wiring you're working with, but still kind of flexible. A coat hanger works really well. If you untwist a metal coat hanger, you can poke it down, use some electrical tape to tape the wiring to it, and then just pull that coat hanger back up to get it up top. Our wiring is going to come up just to the driver's side of where your master cylinder fill is. We went ahead and pulled it up, followed the factory wiring down towards the front of the vehicle. We're installing this right after we put our base plate on, so we do have the fascia still removed from the base plate installation. I highly recommend that if you're going to be doing a flat toe setup, after you install your base plate is the best time to install the rest of your components before you put it back on. If you're putting a braking system on your MKZ, this is also a great time because your diode wiring is going to be necessary to get your braking system operational. You can see here where I've already tapped into our diode wiring for the braking system. So I do highly recommend that you make your wiring accessible if you are putting a braking system on so you can get to it to do that portion as well. We've got all of our wiring routed up here to the front. Your white wire is going to be your ground wire. We still have to connect this. So I went ahead and pulled it back, separated it, and I ran it over here to the side of the frame where I crimped on the ring terminal that comes in the kit and used the self-tapping screw to secure it to the side of the frame. Now you're probably wondering, well, this is a real short piece of white wire. The rest of the white wire really isn't necessary for this. You just have to connect it to ground, and then from ground, the wire needs to be routed up to your 6-pole connector. The ground can be placed anywhere on the frame. We'll now go ahead and connect it to our 6-pole connector. Now typically you're going to want to wait to do this until after you've reinstalled your fascia because it can be a real pain to get your fascia to go back on when you have big bulky objects like this at the front. But we're going to show you how to connect it. So you'll want to take all your wiring. You'll want to separate those. We talked about it earlier, how you just snip those and then you can peel them back to separate them. You'll want to strip back each wire. And before you connect it to your connector, you want to make sure you slide the rubber seal over your wiring. We'll now connect our white wire to GD, our brown wire to TM, our green wire to RT, and our yellow wire to LT. Just going to twist the wires because you don't want to have any strands that aren't in there. It could potentially short out and cause some strange things to occur. So you simply slide it in and then tighten the screw back down. We're going to go ahead and do that for all of the remaining wires. Now I recommend that you use dielectric grease, and you want to go on pretty thick here at the back. We're not going to be doing it now for demonstration purposes. You'll then slide your rubber grommet on, and then I also recommend wrapping the front and back seals here with electrical tape. We can then use the hardware that comes with our base plate to attach it to the base plate. With self-tapping screws, simply push in, and an 8mm socket bolts it down. Now you do see I have a lot of excess here. If you do have that, you'd want to trim all that down beforehand. If you have any excess wiring here, you can just take that, roll it up, and zip tie it out of the way. And that completes our installation of Roadmaster's 4-diode universal wiring kit for towed vehicles on your 2016 Lincoln MKZ.